For decades, presidential candidates have released their tax returns as a gesture of transparency, letting voters see their finances and potential conflicts of interest. Donald Trump broke this tradition, refusing to release his tax returns and citing ongoing audits, which fueled public curiosity and debate. The media, lawmakers, and prosecutors questioned what his financial records might reveal about his business empire and possible foreign ties. This curiosity led to formal investigations, with many arguing that his financial documents were essential to understanding if any laws were broken. The fight for these records quickly escalated to the courts, becoming a high-stakes legal battle. Investigators in New York sought years of Trump's tax records as part of a criminal probe, while House committees issued subpoenas for similar documents. This set the stage for a constitutional showdown, pitting Congress and local prosecutors against the presidency. The Supreme Court was forced to weigh in on whether a sitting president has immunity from criminal investigation and if Congress can demand a president's private papers. These were not just questions about Trump's finances, but about the balance of power in American government. The public watched closely, knowing the outcome would have lasting implications. The court's rulings would define the boundaries of presidential power and transparency for generations. This legal battle became a test of accountability at the highest level. The precedent set would shape the relationship between future presidents and the law. The Supreme Court ruled that a president is not above the law, rejecting the idea of absolute immunity from state criminal subpoenas. This allowed the Manhattan District Attorney to seek Trump's financial records from his accounting firm. However, the court was more cautious with congressional subpoenas, requiring a legitimate legislative purpose and setting a higher bar for lawmakers. The justices emphasized the principle of separation of powers, ensuring the justice system could function even when the president is involved. The decision affirmed the rule of law, but also protected the presidency from political harassment by Congress. The court created a balancing test for lower courts to weigh Congress's need for information against the burden on the president. This compromise gave both sides something, maintaining a delicate constitutional balance. The rulings clarified that no one, not even the president, is above the common duty to produce evidence in a criminal proceeding. The decision set new standards for future conflicts between Congress, prosecutors, and the presidency. The Supreme Court is the final arbiter of the law, shaping policy and society for decades. Its main role is to interpret the Constitution and resolve disputes between branches of government. The court's power, known as judicial review, is significant but not unlimited. It relies on respect and compliance from other branches. The court cannot enforce its rulings directly or initiate investigations. It must wait for cases to be brought before it. In Trump's financial records cases, the justices focused only on the legality of the subpoenas, not on Trump's guilt or innocence. Their decision allowed the New York investigation to proceed, but did not determine any criminal outcome. The court sets legal standards, but depends on lower courts and government bodies to apply them. By sending congressional cases back to lower courts, the justices signaled that more legal work was needed under the new standards. Supreme Court decisions often mark the start of a new legal chapter, not the end. The court's authority is powerful, but ultimately depends on the willingness of others to follow its rulings. Its careful approach preserves its legitimacy and the balance of power. The Trump cases highlighted both the reach and the limits of the court's influence. The legal process continues beyond the court's decisions, shaping the future of presidential accountability. The investigations into Trump's finances covered a wide range of business activities over many years. A central focus was the hush money payments made during the 2016 campaign, with investigators probing whether these were illegally hidden in business records. Allegations of tax and bank fraud also emerged, with questions about whether the Trump Organization manipulated property values for loans and taxes. Financial records, tax returns, loan applications, and internal valuations were key evidence for these probes. Congressional investigations focused on potential conflicts of interest and foreign influence, especially payments from foreign governments that could violate the Constitution's emoluments clause. Lawmakers sought to determine if Trump's business dealings affected his presidential decisions. Testimony from Michael Cohen, Trump's former lawyer, was a catalyst, alleging Trump directed hush money payments and manipulated asset values. These claims launched the investigations, but financial documents were needed to corroborate them. Without these records, cases would rely on witness accounts, which are harder to prove in court. The documents provided a paper trail, offering a clearer picture of Trump's financial dealings. The stakes were high potential criminal charges and constitutional questions about presidential conduct. The investigations were grounded in specific events, not just legal theory. The outcome would set important precedents for future presidents. The legal battles over Trump's records are part of a broader debate about presidential power. This issue echoes past cases, most notably the 1974 Supreme Court ruling that forced President Nixon to turn over Oval Office tapes during Watergate. That case established that a president cannot use executive privilege to hide evidence in a criminal investigation. The Trump case is built on this precedent, reaffirming that presidents are subject to the judicial process. However, Trump's situation was unique, involving a state prosecutor and private business dealings before office. The court clarified that accountability applies in this context too, setting a new precedent. Recent Supreme Court decisions continue to check presidential authority, even on issues like immigration. These cases highlight the tension between strong leadership and the need to prevent excessive concentration of power. The court's rulings define the relationship between the presidency and the law. They shape the balance of power in American democracy. Supreme Court rulings are expected to be final. Defying them could trigger a constitutional crisis. If a president refused to comply, courts could impose daily fines or even jail time for contempt. These penalties are designed to compel compliance, not to punish past actions. The threat of jail is rarely used, but it's a powerful tool to enforce court orders. Beyond legal penalties, defiance would have severe political consequences, possibly leading to impeachment and damaging public trust. In Trump's case, the accounting firm eventually turned over the records after the Supreme Court's ruling. The legal process worked as intended, avoiding a crisis. The case serves as a reminder that the judiciary has mechanisms to enforce its authority. Court orders are binding commands, not suggestions. The rule of law depends on compliance, even at the highest levels. With Trump's financial records in hand, prosecutors began a meticulous review, searching for evidence of crimes like fraud or tax evasion. This analysis could take months, involving experts combing through years of documents. If compelling evidence is found, prosecutors may present the case to a grand jury, which could indict Trump and lead to a criminal trial, an unprecedented event for a former president. If evidence is lacking, the investigation would close, marking a legal victory for Trump. Grand jury proceedings are secret, so the public may never know all the details if no charges are filed. Regardless, legal battles continue, with the Supreme Court set to hear more cases on presidential power. The outcome of these cases will shape Trump's legacy and the legal landscape for future presidents. The path forward is filled with uncertainty and ongoing scrutiny. Each decision will have lasting implications for executive authority. The story of presidential accountability is far from over. The saga over Trump's financial records is a test of American democracy's strength and resilience. It forced the nation to confront questions about accountability, transparency, and the rule of law. The Supreme Court's decision affirmed that no one is above the law, reinforcing a core democratic principle. The enforcement of the subpoena showed that the legal system can hold power to account. Yet, the years-long battle exposed vulnerabilities in relying on tradition rather than law for presidential transparency. The episode raises questions about whether new laws are needed to ensure oversight and transparency. Ultimately, this serves as a civics lesson, highlighting the roles of Congress, the presidency, and the courts. The slow, deliberate legal process is a real-time stress test for democracy. The outcome will define the balance of power and accountability for generations. The legacy of this case will shape the future of American governance.